Seja muito bem-vindo ao canal. Hoje você vai testemunhar uma jornada onde a curiosidade histórica e o perigo real se encontram. Antes de abrirmos esses portões esquecidos, já deixe o seu like para fortalecer o nosso trabalho. Inscreva-se e prepare-se para o que vem a seguir. Vamos para a exploração. Prepare-se para acompanhar uma jornada que começa com curiosidade histórica e termina em um dos momentos mais tensos que um explorador urbano pode enfrentar. Neste vídeo do canal Forgotten Buildings, somos levados para o sul da Holanda para explorar as ruínas de uma antiga e gigantesca fábrica de tecnologia, um lugar que já foi o coração pulsante da produção de eletrônicos e hoje parece um cenário de filme pós-apocalíptico. A história começa com os exploradores movendo-se com cautela extrema nos arredores do complexo. Como a fábrica está localizada no meio de uma área urbana, o risco de serem vistos é constante, o que os obriga a adotar uma tática furtiva para invadir o primeiro prédio o mais rápido possível. Assim que entram, o clima muda. O silêncio é quebrado apenas pelo som dos seus passos sobre vidros quebrados e destroços. Eles encontram linhas de produção onde microchips ainda estão espalhados pelo chão, como se os trabalhadores tivessem abandonado o local às pressas. Conforme avançam para os prédios mais antigos, a sensação de isolamento aumenta. O mato tomou conta das janelas e o cheiro de mofo nos escritórios abandonados cria uma atmosfera pesada. Mas o verdadeiro perigo não está no prédio em ruínas, e sim lá fora. A tensão atinge o ápice quando, enquanto exploravam as profundezas da fábrica, eles avistam uma van de segurança patrulhando lentamente o terreno. O coração acelera quando percebem que não estão mais sozinhos. Eles veem um homem caminhando a pé, cercando a área onde eles se encontram. O que se segue é um jogo angustiante de esconde-esconde. Eles tentam se manter em silêncio absoluto nos corredores escuros, mas o pânico se instala quando flashes de lanternas começam a varrer as paredes ao redor deles. Não há mais para onde fugir. Eles são cercados e confrontados pelos seguranças, que imediatamente começam a chamar a polícia e a mencionar multas pesadas, deixando os exploradores em uma situação de extrema ansiedade. Você assistirá ao momento exato em que a aventura sai do controle e eles são escoltados para fora, sem saber se aquela exploração terminaria em uma delegacia. É um relato real de como a linha entre uma descoberta fascinante e um problema com a justiça é extremamente tênue no mundo do urbex.
But first we needed to make our way outside and safely get into the next building.
Oh.
To give you an impression of just how large this terrain was, here you have just an example. We just came out of this building, by the way. We still felt a bit uneasy on the terrain, so we decided to once again just try the first building we came across, which seemed to be not that hard.
No problem, okay.
But okay, while we enter, let me tell you the history of this old complex. For this, let's head back in time to 1946. Holland was just freed from German occupation, which meant the reconstruction of Holland has begun. For big electronic makers somewhere in the south of Holland, this also was a good moment to enlarge the production. For this, they expanded out of their original site for the first time, to this location right here. When it was opened at the beginning of the 50s, the production of TV housings and all the parts were started, and times were really booming for this area, but especially for the employees. In the first years, the employees which worked here was above the 1,000. With this large amount and the strong worker unions, this quickly transformed from just a place where you go to work to just a complete lifestyle for the whole region. These positive times of production booming and the strong labor unions were halted around the end of the 70s. At this time the rise of the Asian manufacturers began to appear. which meant a slow disintegration of this way of manufacturing.
Goedenavond, het nieuws van dinsdag 4 september. Gedwongen ontslagen bij de Nederlandse chipfabrieken van moeten 1200 banen weg.
In 1990, a massive new restructure took place to save the then dying company. What this plan meant was moving all the facilities to countries with lower wages. This was also the fate for this complex. Every year, more jobs seemed to just disappear. In 2004, just one division was still operating, which was also finally closed. This made this historical terrain abandoned. Nowadays, after 16 years of abandonment, nature has truly took its toll. The vegetation everywhere had truly made it into a post-apocalyptic landscape. Nevertheless, let's head into the next building.
Voor dit hier, kijk.
The following place was the first building which really became abandoned. So we had quite high hopes for this part of the complex. Decay was noticeably a lot more severe and gave off a really 80s modernism vibe. What also was a positive is that vandalism was relatively mild. In the first room we also came across our first real items. This hall was some sort of testing hall or lab. There were even some old school machinery left behind, which were now rusting away due to the leaking roof. The function of these machines are unknown to me, but if you have an idea, please leave it down into the comments below. But okay, let's continue on in this retro factory. The long hallway ended into a big central hall, which looked like some sort of a warehouse. Whatever it was, it had quite nice, natural lighting, which was nice to see. So we had finished our main highlight of this big industrial compound. We only forgot one thing, and that was the office wings of this building. Personally, I quite like offices. This is because most of the time a lot of stuff is left behind.
Wauw.
When upstairs we immediately noticed the rather musty smell. Most of the office spaces weren't that special at all, unfortunately. Just when we kinda lost hope to find some cool stuff, we found a room with some cool artifacts. And it was completely from a different time. Nevertheless, let's check out another building. Like I explained in the history section, there was a quite big community center for the employees. So let's take a look at that building. Once again, the entrance of this building wasn't that hard, and within a couple of seconds we were standing in the former event hall. The main functions of this former hall was to keep meetings and to have lunch. Behind the main hall, a kitchen/canteen was located. Unfortunately, it was all relatively empty. So let's quickly head over to the next building. The following building was pretty unknown to us. The only thing we knew about this building was that this was the building with the main offices.
Okay.
Inside we were a bit stunned just how big this hall was. It really was a massive open space, which lets you experience just how massive the manufacturing process was in its heyday.
Weet je hoe asbest werkt?
Rijdt aan een bus.
Serieus?
Unfortunately, we were disturbed by a van which was patrolling around the building. We didn't really know who this was, but we decided to be more cautious and head into the office blocks.
Wat? Oké.
While proceeding through the many hallways, we came across this old medical bay.
Wow. Serieus?
Unfortunately, we couldn't go more in depth, due that we spotted a man walking on the terrain.
Oké, kom, loop even die kant op.
A certain right we had now, without being too loud and noticeable,
Naar je toe.
we decided to hide. A couple of seconds later, we saw flashlights shining onto the halls we were just standing.
Hallo.
Hoi.
Gegroet.
Gegroet.
Zet je dat ding even uit?
Ja hoor, tuurlijk. Ja.
Ook even mee?
Ja hoor, goed.
Alright, they took us to the main entrance, where they started calling the police.
Wie belt u precies?
Wil je te raden?
Ja, ik raad het al.
Ja.
Even voor de zekerheid.
While doing this, they kept insisting that we had to pay a big fine, which made us a bit uneasy, to say the least.
We hebben net twee jonge heren aangetroffen in het voormalig. Ja, daar zou ik ook even de politie bij willen hebben.
A experiência termina com silêncio reflexivo. Após serem escoltados para fora daqueles portões enferrujados, o que fica não é apenas o susto do confronto com a segurança, mas a melancolia de saber que lugares como essa fábrica, que um dia foi o sustento de milhares de famílias e o berço de inovações tecnológicas, estão desaparecendo lentamente sob o peso do esquecimento e da natureza. Para os exploradores do canal Forgotten Buildings, a captura foi o preço pago para registrar o que o tempo tenta apagar. No final, o vídeo nos deixa com uma lição clara sobre o urbex. Cada porta aberta é um convite para o passado, mas também um lembrete de que o presente está sempre à espreita, pronto para retomar o controle. O que você viu foi mais do que uma invasão. Foi o último registro de um gigante adormecido antes que ele seja demolido ou consumido totalmente pelo mato. A pergunta que fica é: até onde você iria para resgatar uma história que o mundo já decidiu esquecer? Muito obrigado por nos acompanhar em mais essa aventura e por assistir até aqui. Se você gosta de ver a história sendo resgatada das sombras, não esqueça de deixar seu comentário com suas impressões e suas recomendações para os próximos destinos. Sua participação é o que mantém esse canal vivo. A gente se vê no próximo lugar abandonado.